Hey, congratulations on purchasing the Fives from Audio Advice. The Fives come with a user manual as well as a quick start guide that will walk you through the basics of setting them up. So for the purposes of this video, we'll mostly focus on the tips and tricks that you won't find anywhere else. All right, no matter what gear you connect up, the first step is usually connecting the primary speaker to the passive speaker, and then connecting the speaker system itself to a power supply. The really nice thing about the Fives is you don't have to worry about which one is the left versus the right speaker. You see, most power speakers force you to keep the layout of the left and the right based on one speaker having the amplifier, but not the Fives. Klipsch added a little switch on the back of the Fives labeled primary, and this lets you designate if the speaker with all the connections is on the right or the left side. Now this really comes in handy when the wall outlet you're trying to reach is closer to one speaker versus the other. Using the included 4-pin connector cable that comes in the box, make the connection from the primary speaker to the passive. Now the primary speaker is the one with all the connections on the rear panel, so just connect that one to the wall outlet. On the top panel, a white LED light will light up next to the input selector wheel, which tells you the Fives are powered on. From here, the next step should be the correct placement of the Fives. Now, how you place them depends a bit on how you plan to use them. So let's go over placement for use with a TV first. The HDMI ARC input on the back means you can use the Fives instead of a soundbar. If you have an older TV, you can also use the Toslink digital input instead. For use with a TV, we recommend spreading the Fives at least 4 to 5 feet apart, or the width of your TV, whichever is greater. The 4-pin connector cable is about 15 feet long, so this allows you to spread them farther apart. If you are placing your speakers on a work desk in a home office, you'll want to form an equilateral triangle with the speakers equally distanced so that you're also sitting at an equal distance from the speakers. Just play around with the angle of the Fives and toe them in just a tad until the vocals sound like they're right in the center of the soundstage. Desktop stands will also stabilize the position you set, and they will also improve the sound of the bass. Finally, if you have room, positioning the Fives about 1 to 1.5 feet away from any walls or any other boundaries will also help tone down any room resonance that might color the bass. Speaking of bass, the Fives have a special crossover circuitry you can use with a subwoofer that improves the mid-range. So think voices that sound much cleaner and detailed when you connect up a subwoofer. As soon as you connect an RCA cable from the subwoofer output on the back of the Fives, the lower frequencies will automatically route from the woofer to your sub. With music playing, you can actually see the crossover in action when the woofer goes from maximum excursion to very little excursion as soon as you make this connection. For a small to medium-sized office space, we recommend a smaller 10-inch subwoofer, but if you're using the Fives in a larger room, go with a 12-inch or even a 15-inch subwoofer for deep, immersive sub-bass extension. Klipsch has also added a pretty neat thing that they call dynamic EQ. Now this circuit automatically adds some bass back in as you decrease the volume with the volume dial on top of the primary speaker or the remote. And this gives the Fives a very warm, musical sound even at super low listening levels. Now we can't imagine why anyone would want to do this next thing, but if you want to turn this feature off, you can do that by holding down the button labeled sub on the remote control for 3 seconds. The white LED light on the top panel will blink just once to let you know that dynamic EQ has been disabled. Holding down the sub button again for 3 seconds will reactivate dynamic EQ, and the white LED light on the top panel will blink 2 times to indicate that it's been reactivated. If you have an Amazon Echo or another similar type of voice-controlled smart device, there's a really cool trick that will give you voice controls with the Fives. You'll need an analog stereo mini plug cable with a pair of RCA connectors on the end to connect to the RCA inputs on the Fives. There's a little toggle switch next to this pair of RCA inputs that can be set to either line or phono. Setting this switch to the line input will let you use Amazon Alexa from the Echo to play, pause, or skip to the next song just by saying those commands. If you have an Apple TV or a Roku box connected up to your TV, you can also use either of those as a music source with the Fives too. Now, the next most important step is downloading the Klipsch Connect app if you haven't already, and then pairing the Fives with your phone. If you have an iPhone, you can get it from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store if you're on Android. A more important reason to download this app is also the software updates. Now, Klipsch tells us a new update is in the works that will unlock exciting new features in the 5s. These will include more extensive EQ controls, plus a special mode that will adjust the low end energy to compensate for any load generated by surrounding boundaries like a desk, a media console, a speaker stand, or even the surrounding walls. We're working with Klipsch to come out with another tips and tricks video that will deep dive into those features once it comes out, so stay tuned for that. Now, until that time comes, download the Klipsch Connect app right now. When you do this, the first thing you'll see is the welcome screen, prompting you to choose your Klipsch product and set it up. Once you complete this initial setup process, you will see the Setup Complete screen. And this is where you can access the Quick Start Guide or just press Done. If you press Done here, you will see the home screen where you can also add additional Klipsch products, get a view of all your connected Klipsch devices, access the settings for a given Klipsch product, or see a list of how-to video guides. All right, guys, that completes our tips and tricks for the 5s. As we said, we'll be back with another tips and tricks video once Klipsch releases their new update and unlocks new superpowers hiding inside these totally awesome speakers. All right, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed watching this audio device tips and tricks video, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel. We come out with new videos just like this one on a weekly basis, so hit that subscribe button so you never miss the latest home audio or home theater content. And we'll see you next time.